Hi guys, I want to speak on an incident that happened to me on Friday night as I was attempting to attend the Lil Wayne concert in Gulfport, Mississippi at the Mississippi Coast Coliseum. I was told that my bag was too big, that I had to take it back to my truck. So dropped my bag off in my truck and was walking back out the parking lot towards the venue. And a police officer said, "Hey, where are you going?" I said, "Well, I'm heading back into the concert." Well, we was told that you was wandering around the parking lot, and wonder why you're wandering around the parking lot. I said, "Well, I'm about to go here in the concert." Now, mind you, the parking lot of the concert uh, is right there in the same front of me, right in the same place. So as I walk up to the venue, I'm waiting out till the crowd die down before I go over to buy the ticket, and it's a sold out show. Big ups to Lil Wayne. I was approached by a gentleman from Sweatman Security, and this guy walks up to me and says, "Sir, we saw you standing there talking to the guy with the hat on, and we got to ask you to leave the property." I said, "Well, I'm going to the concert." "Well, we saw you standing there talking to him, and another black guy, just asking questions, didn't even know him, so we got to ask you to leave the property." I said, "Well, wait a minute." I said, "I was going to the concert." "Well, we got to ask you to leave the property." I said, "Well, what exactly did I do where you're asking me to leave the property?" Now, granted, I'm a grown man. I'm a grown guy. Okay, I'm not no kid standing out anywhere like I'm mindlessly have no place to be. And he began to tell me, "Well, we're just going to have to ask you to leave." I said, "Well, you're not giving me a reason." "Well, we saw you walking in the parking lot." I said, "Well, I'm walking in the parking lot because I dropped my bag off and was walking back to the building." "Well, we don't know. We got to ask you to leave." I said, "Well, sir," I said, who's your boss?" "Well, my boss is Wendy Sweatman. Sweatman Security." And I'm going, okay. So I go look up Sweatman Security. So it's a security company out of Biloxi, Mississippi. Apparently they're the security company for the Mississippi Coast Coliseum. Now I'm going to give you some context on that Mississippi Gulf Coast. Beautiful beaches there in Gulfport. Sits right next to Biloxi with the casinos. And unfortunately, it's also right next to Ocean Springs, Mississippi, where that investigation is going on about that kid, Nolan Wells. Now, I've never had that kind of thing to happen to me, but I'm just putting out a word of caution, if that kind of thing can happen to me, just stand in a place that I paid to park to be standing there, clearly there is something going on in that region towards people of color. So I would tell you to be very careful as you're going down there, even going down to the casinos. I'd just be really careful about having any kind of incidents. And I mean, clearly, there's a lot of other places that you can go to enjoy beaches and spend your money, And for me, Gulfport, Mississippi would get an F. In terms of how they treat people of color, and especially the way I was treated. And I'm just using it as an example. And again, I'm in travel, tourism, entertainment, been all over the world, but this kind of incident that happens to me in my own country, for no reason that could be explained. Now, I've attached the video where the gentleman is telling me, "Oh, I work for Sweatman Security, and my boss is Wendy Sweatman." So just to show you that, there's this emboldenedness towards how people are approached, with limited power now. Okay, limited power. And then after the incident, he walks over to the police that stopped me in the first place and was having a, little rah-rah session, but clearly, do not, if you don't have to, I would not recommend you go down that Gulfport, Mississippi region. Just keep on going down I-10 to New Orleans. Because I would give Gulfport, Mississippi an F in terms of travel for me. I would not recommend it to any of my clients. I would not recommend you go to any entertainment events there, because if you're going to be treated that way, I can best spend my money in other places. So guys, be careful. I just wanted to bring this to light. You guys have a good weekend, and you guys be careful out there traveling, because this racial profiling, stuff is still real and it's still happening in America, and we need to report it. Okay, so thank you guys. Have a good one. Your company name?
Sweatman Security.
So who's your boss?
Wendy Sweatman.
Wendy Sweatman. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.